No guests here. Guests here at the back table. Steve?
Thank you, President John. I actually have a guest and a sweetheart with me today. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to introduce my my guest. You stand up, Bill.
I'm not his sweetheart.
Will is a great friend of mine, and we're just a privilege to introduce him here today. But more importantly, he's the son of Bill Cauble. And Bill Cauble was the glue, a part of this club that just kept this club together. It didn't matter how you felt that day, spending a moment with Bill Cauble made you feel great that day. And we miss Bill. So Will, please, will y'all please give Will a Rotary welcome.
Thank you, Steve, and thanks to all the love and the cards and everything for my father's passing. I can't thank you enough. I want to thank everybody one-on-one, but just hadn't got there yet. So thank you very much. But for probably the last 10 years, this lady right here has been a godsend for my dad. She has just been, they have been friends first, and they've loved each other. And he called her his sweetheart. So I mean, if you see them anywhere, he would introduce her as his sweetheart. I'd love to introduce Margie Owsley.
Thank you very much. Very glad to have both of you with us today. And right here, I believe there is a guest.
Pleased to have with me today my wife, Beth.
And then we've got guests here.
Pleased to have as my guest today Frances Hilton, who is Sarah's mom, my mother-in-law, and also was married to Glenn Hilton, who was a past president of this club and longtime city councilman here in Hickory.
Thank you, President John. First of all, let me introduce my wife, Joyce, who's at the table in front of the banner. And nice to have you out today, Miss Pugh. And at this table, I'm also happy to introduce a couple of Lenore Ryan people. One of which probably doesn't need any introduction, and while she isn't in the sense of the sweetheart term that we're using here today, this gal was a sweetheart for the United Way for many years, and we're happy that she's part of the advancement staff at Lenore Ryan now. So Cheryl Aby. The new guy on the block is Jim Gray. Jim, stand so people can see that lovely gray hair. Jim is the interim vice president for advancement at Lenore Ryan. He comes by way of North Carolina Wesleyan College, where he was a president there, and then after he retired, he didn't like retirement much, so he went over to Duke and did some advancement work there, and also over at Carolina. So he's just about got those two schools on the way to a strong development program over there. And he says that tonight he's a Tar Heel. So Jim, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Clarence. Clarence will be back in a moment to introduce our Rotary sweethearts. But I'm going to stop at this table. Hello, Homer.
Hey, good to see you. My pleasure. I have at my table three beautiful ladies. I'll start over here with, I believe that's Bill Loing's wife. I hadn't seen her in a while. But this, we're delighted to have Merle Loing, Bill Loing's Rotary Ann from many, many, many years. Bill was a great Rotary member, and it's a pleasure to have you, Merle. Thank you. Also have Mary Jo Klein, Bo Klein's wife, and Rotary Ann, who Bo was with us for many, many years, and I'm sure a lot of you senior members remember Bo. I also have with me today my one and only lovely, lovely wife, my Rotary Ann, who's been with me 60 years. And we're delighted to have her.
Thank you very much, Homer. Now over here, Terry has a guest with her.
Now, this is a little bit odd because he's the talker between the two of us. My guest today is my friend and business partner in a NASCAR venture, Glenn Jarrett. Glenn's original Catawba County son. Y'all may know him. Welcome. Oh, wait, and he's going to talk.
Thank you, Terry. It's a pleasure to be here to see all these folks. And I've seen a lot of people here today I haven't seen in a long, long time. I do want to say, Will Cobble, thank you for clarifying that you were not Steve's sweetheart, because I always thought you were mine.
President John, today I have my better half, my husband Bob Huffman.
And here at this table,
Yes, I have my lovely bride here today, Jerry, who's put up with me since high school for 43 years, and we're happily married, and we just had a grandchild last week. It's a week old yesterday.
All right.
and one moment, I forgot to grab one of my students here. Also at this table, we have Dot Crouch. Now, in a few moments, we'll be having an anniversary trivia thing that's all about the number 9. But with regard to the number 9, tomorrow, am I right? Tomorrow is Dot's 99th birthday. You brought a guest of your own, right?
Yes, this is my son Charlie.
Your son Charlie, who flew in from Paris, right? For Mom's birthday, so welcome Charlie too. Charlie, and I'll hand this off to Charles.
I have my guest, my wife, my sweetheart, and my Valentine.
And I know that he's here as a visiting Rotarian, but you brought your sweetheart.
I did. I brought my sweetheart, Bill, and I guess if you call the women Rotary Anns, or the men's Rotary Antics.
That is absolutely correct.
Is that
Let's
correct?
see. All right, everyone at this table is familiar to me. So now I'm going to call on Clarence again, because I have reached our table of Rotary sweethearts, and he is going to introduce them.
Well, let me just comment that this club, and maybe we'll hear about it a little more in a moment, but the club was founded in 1921. First meeting was February the 12th, I believe. Is that right? No, not all right.
The 11th.
The 11th, all right. I was busy that day and missed it. But at any rate, less than 30 days later, the club had its first ladies' night. And I'm guessing, while there's no documentation on this that I've found, that the ladies were a little curious about why these men were getting together once a week. So the men were smart enough to know we better bring these ladies in and show them what the ladies' night and sweetheart nights are all about. So with that in mind, we've continued over the years to have an event that highlights our sweethearts, and we've certainly been very, very fortunate to have so many sweethearts that have been part of our history, and certainly their spouses have been very much an important part of our club here. I'm just going to randomly introduce these ladies. This is Kitty Norris. I think most of us know Kitty as her name's Catherine, but most of us know her as Kitty, and her husband Jeff was an education and development officer, and assistant to the president at Lenore Ryan, and historian, and Kitty was the wind beneath his wings over there. So happy to have Kitty with us. Helen Reed, Mrs. Bob Reed. Bob was a relatively new comer to Hickory when they joined, and passed away much too soon, so we really didn't get to know Bob that well, but he came as the director or manager of the credit bureau, I believe, at that time, and so Helen Reed. Alan Hickory was fortunate enough to marry a gal from South Carolina that he met at Lenore Ryan, Caroline Rotary, and she brought him. They were both from South Carolina, but they both found their way to Lenore Ryan, and Lenore Ryan was the better for it, and so was this community. Alan worked at MDI and held that classification for quite some time. We got Betty Troutman, Mrs. Ernest Troutman. Ernest was a banker at Northwestern Bank before all the mergers started taking place, but there were a couple of strong bankers in town during those days. One was Ernest Troutman. The other one was a young upstart, Charlie Snipes. So they both performed well over the years. And Wilbert's not here today to defend himself, but certainly we're glad to have Betty Troutman with us. Marge McDaniel, the wife of Michael C.D. McDaniel. Michael, as you went to Lenore Ryan, you fought to get in his religion classes until he decided he was going to be a bishop and straighten out the church. He did a good job at that, but things have a way of changing. They have periodic elections, and sometimes things don't work out, and they choose not to run. But Marge McDaniel was a power behind Mike McDaniel and all that he did. Mrs. Howard Steele. Howard was the postmaster here in Hickory for a number of years, so if you're still looking for some mail, it may be over in Edith's garage. Didn't get delivered that day, but we're happy to have Edith here, and Edith, I think, hasn't celebrated quite as many birthdays as our friend Dot Crouch, but she's trying to catch up with her, so another 4 or 5 years you'll be there, won't you? And Edith has with us her daughter, Betty, and so we're happy they could be out with us today. Is there any sweetheart that hasn't been introduced? I know some of the guys did their own thing, and that was good, and I appreciate you doing your own thing. Is that it?
That's it.
President John?
Thank you very much, Clarence. I'm glad all of you could join us today. Makes this an even more special day. Now, Sandy Fotheringham has a message for us about Rotarian Idol, for which the first round of auditions are this evening. I hope that wasn't your announcement.
As John said, we do have our first round of auditions today, and the second one will be on Saturday, so we're getting closer to the event. If you haven't turned in your ads, please get them to Lear. And I want to remind all of you that you can have a personal ad for $75, and that is, if you want to put it in honor or memory of someone, then that's a good opportunity to do it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandy. And then Shuford Abernathy had a message for us.
I do. I have one of those dollar announcements. That for anybody looking for something to do with their sweetheart this Valentine's, I have an opportunity. I'm on the board for a program called Neighbors Network in Conover. It's a program that helps support senior adults that are living at home. It primarily is particularly important for widowed women and men who are remaining at home. We're doing our fundraiser this year. It's our second annual casino night. It'll be this Saturday night. starting at 7 o'clock at the Newton Expo at Penn Station. I have tickets. It's a lot of fun. You can buy tickets as a couple or as an individual. And if you're interested in doing that, let me know. I'll have them here.
Thank you very much, Shuford. And are there any other announcements? Anybody want to announce anything? All right. Shuford, don't forget your dollar. You already did your dollar. All right. Okay. John Watts has our Rotary moment today. John, would you like to do it from back here, or you want to follow me up to the podium? Okay. Or leave. After John, then we have a short presentation on our history, and then I'll have a anniversary trivia quiz for us.
Thank you, John. And I had an opportunity this week to visit Bobby Bumbarger, who is, I think, without question, the oldest standing member in the Hickory Rotary Club. He's living in Kingston. Caroline, his wife, is seriously in bad health right now. It's touch and go, and Bobby's sons and daughters come help him get him to the hospital to visit her and see her when they can, which is pretty frequently. So I'd ask you to keep Bobby and Caroline and the Bumbarger family in your prayers, please. Bobby joined the Hickory Rotary Club in 1951, invited by Ram Menzies, and he said one of the reasons he was invited was because he played a lot of golf, and a lot of the folks playing golf wanted to play with him because he was a pretty good golfer. I had the pleasure of playing with Bobby, a few years back now, and it was a golf lesson and a history lesson just talking to him and hearing him tell about what was going on. Like I said, Bobby joined in 1951. Now, just helping you a little bit, Al Spivey and Leroy Lale joined in 1971. That was the next time I could see where current members are still here that have some time and tenure. And then Clarence Pugh didn't tell this, but he was a member in 1973. So those are the oldest standing members that I can see right now in terms of who's wherever they are.
Charlie Snipes.
Charlie Snipes. When did he join?
68.
I'm sorry, Charlie, I missed that one. Thank you. 68. Charlie joined in 1968. Didn't want to short you on that. We do have a birthday to celebrate today, and it is President John Rambo. So, I had a few items to talk about, but I really think that cutting them short will be the best venture at all. I'll look forward to coming back again. Thank you.
Well done, John.
Go Heels. Now, Alan Huffman has some historical information for us today on the history of our club. We're celebrating today our actual club anniversary. The first meeting was held, from what I could find, on February the 11th.
They haven't served a meal yet, have
He's correct in that two days from now, Saturday the 11th, will be the 96th anniversary of the Hickory Rotary Club. It was founded on February the 11th, 1921 at the Hotel Hickory. That stands for Huffman and Fry. For newer people to Hickory, the Hotel Hickory stood along the railroad track across from what's now the City Hall. I guess that's the Cooperative Christian Ministries there now. And it was torn down in the 60s as part of the urban renewal. And in its later years, it was called the Hotel Burl. The club was founded by Watt Shuford, who was the first president. In 1920, he went to Asheville on some business and was taken to the Rotary Club in Asheville and decided that would be a good thing for Hickory to have. So subsequently, with his 18 local members and 10 members of the Asheville Club in attendance, they had that first meeting February the 11th, 1921. Bobby Bumbarger and Charlie Snipes were not there at that time. They, in the 1920s, did some community projects. I noted one place that they donated 50 cents to all the members of the county home to give them a little spending money. And they worked on a number of community service projects through the 1920s. In 1926, the Hotel Hickory was opened, and they moved the club there and met at the Hotel Hickory for 44 years. And of course, if there are new people in Hickory, that is the location of Wells Fargo Bank now. And the Hotel Hickory was imploded in June of 1972. One of the most important events has already been mentioned, and that is the 51 years of service of Mary McFarland playing the piano for entertainment during the early parts of the meeting and before the meeting, and then playing for the singing. And apparently the singing was only slightly better with the piano in those days. She served, including the time that we were at Mom and Pop's Ham House. In 1970-71, the club was moved to Lenore Rhine for a short time, and then to the Holiday Inn. And that was over on Highway 70. Mom and Pop's Ham House became the location in 1971. That was on US 70 near the 321 interchange. I believe it's a car dealership there now, Randy Marion or something like that. But that was my first encounter with Rotary Club, was to sneak in the back door of the Ham House so we wouldn't create any bad press for the Ham House customers. In 1971, the club had their 50th anniversary at the Lake Hickory Country Club. Of course, subsequently, in 1993, the club moved here for the meetings and of course, still meeting here. A couple other bits of history. In 1973, Hickory Rotary founded Lake Hickory Rotary Club, which is now Rotary East, Hickory East. And that was the 7th club that Hickory had founded in the greater Hickory area, Newton, Conover, Granite Falls, and a number of other clubs, and several clubs since then. Projects in 1937, the club built the Boy Scout cabin out on Lake Hickory, is what is now Geithner Park. And some of you may remember, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years ago, we contributed for the restoration of that cabin, which is now continues to be part of the park there. 1971, as part of the 50th anniversary, the Geithner Park on Lake Hickory was initiated by Rotary and called Rotary Park originally. 1982, the club helped development with the city of what became Hilton Park at the city facilities there, the waste treatment plant, now a nice park. 1993 was an important event. The first women members, Bonnie Mitchell, Gail Smith, I believe, were the first 2 women to be members of the club. The club has had a number of district conferences and 3 district governors from our club. Brent Schaefer in the 1930s, he was president of LR at the time. Some of the members remember Walter Now, sort of Mr. Rotary here in the 80s and 90s. He was president of the District 50-51, and Archie Schubert, 63-64. And we need to be thinking about 4 years from now, our 100th anniversary.
Thank you
you very much, Alan, for bringing that information to share. So Jennifer and Tara had prepared for me a trivia contest. Now, we already know, or not contest, but just a few fun things to ask about. Now, we already know that we don't have any Rotarians that have a birthday today, but do we have any? No, my birthday was Monday, actually, the 6th of February. I share that with Ronald Reagan and Axl Rose. And now you understand. So do we have any Rotarians who, their guests today, their sweetheart, or any sweethearts that had a birthday today, February the 9th? All right. What about our actual anniversary day, February the 11th? Any? I'm going to eat a lot of candy today. All right. Well, an interesting fact about these two dates, the date we're celebrating today, February 9th, and the date that of our anniversary, February 11th, they both add up to prime numbers. Fascinating, isn't it? What about any wedding anniversaries today? No wedding anniversaries on February 9th. Pardon?
We're a boring group.
Yes, what about this? What about any anniversaries this week? This month? All right. Has anyone been married for 9 years? 9 years, Marty. Let's see if we can do something for Valentine's Day. All right, we got one. Yay. All right. How about 11 years? 11 years? Well, I will be celebrating something for 11 years later this year in the fall. I forgot to look at the actual date, but this is my 11th year in Rotary. And so, speaking of it, well, now the next question, I actually get one of these, but I think I'll skip it. But has anyone been in Rotary for 9 years? 9-year Rotarians this year? Anytime this year.
9 months.
As of today. We may get there. What about anybody else along with me celebrating 11 years this year? Tony Reed.
All right.
Oh, and Suzanne, well, you're closer, so I'll stop at you first. And Tony. So, I'm out of gifts to give, but does anyone have a child who was born on February 9th or February 11th?
Hey, come on, Josh. You had a child born on February the 9th, don't you remember?
Who was born?
Those of you who
What about Josh? Is there any question?
So the last 4 numbers of the winning ticket are 5908.
Ooh, that's me.
Susan, come on down. This may be 5908. Pick a card, any card. Yes, pick card number 9. A 2 of diamonds. Here is a free lunch for you. Tara's ill today, so she wasn't able to join us, but Jennifer is here. Please, everyone, give a round of applause to Jennifer and Tara for coordinating this wonderful anniversary celebration. And also, the centerpieces, the floral centerpieces, those are to go home with each of our sweethearts today. So, Pardon? Oh, yes, Bill, folks can still register for Stop Hunger Now, correct? Okay, that is on March the 4th. There are 2 shifts, right?
That's correct.
9:30 and 11:30?
9 and 11:30.
9 and 11:30. I've signed up for 11:30 because I don't get up early on Saturday. And 9 is early. But I'll be there then, and the online registration is working. It's too long for me to say.
I'll bring forms next week that people can just fill out and hand back to them.
Okay, great. That's at St. Albans on March the 4th at 9 and 11:30. And let's see, what else do we have? All right, well, thank you for our visiting Rotarians and our guests. All of our guests, please come back anytime. And don't forget your cart. I'm sorry, I'm having to talk so much, I'm running out of gas. Don't forget to put money in the cart buckets, folding money, spare change, fine jewelry, negotiable stock certificates. And now, please rise and join me in the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.